It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does on this Thursday, October 19th, 2023. Good to have you all with us. I'm Jason Page. We got a lot to do over the next 60 minutes, roughly thereabouts. Matt Verderame coming up in about 30. Does a great job on the NFL for SI.com. They're insider over there. We'll have a Thursday night NFL preview with myself and Sam Yarnell. And speaking of Sam Yarnell, the Prince of Picks is here. Hello, Sam.
Jason, I was right.
Oh, my God. That's how you start the show? Not hi, Jason. Not good morning, Jason. Not good afternoon, Jason. It's I'm right.
That's the thing.
I am a therapist. Can I tell you something?
No.
I am a therapist.
With good morning or afternoon because here it's afternoon, there it's morning.
Yeah.
When we're recording this. And at the end of the day, we're here to chop it up about sports. My time with you today is limited. We got to get into the sports.
My therapist says something to me. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, she said this. She said, as you get older, you learn these things. Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? And it's part of being in any relationship, whether it's husband, spouse, wife, working partner. Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? Now, most of the time I could say I'd rather be right, but there are times where I'd rather just be happy and just, okay, you win. So go ahead, enjoy your moment. Go ahead, take it.
Well, I will say many of the time I'm neither. So there you go.
That's fair. But I'll tell you what, interesting game 3. Apparently, the ALCS doesn't start until a home team actually wins a game. Because right now...
Got ourselves a series.
Well, we do. But at the same time, do we? I mean, do we really?
Yes, 100%.
Rangers are still going to win this series.
Tonight. Heaney versus Urquidy tonight. You're staring 2-2 down the barrel. You're staring 2-2 down the barrel right now if you're the Texas Rangers.
I tell you,
not that Andrew Heaney's been bad, but Urquidy's been great, and he's notoriously decent in the playoffs.
Javier's fantastic, though. I mean, we got to start talking about what he's done now. 4 postseason starts? I mean, he has been next to fantastic. And look, it's going to sound like a second guess here. But it has to be asked, was it the right move to start Max Scherzer? Was it the right, knowing he wasn't he admitted he wasn't stretched out, so he wasn't going to be able to go deep into this game anyway. And, he clearly did not have his best stuff last night against a team that you kind of need to have your best stuff against. It is fair to question if this thing goes and unravels and the Rangers blow a 2-0 lead after winning the first 2 on the road in Houston, it is going to be fair to ask of Bruce Bochy and this Rangers organization, was it the right move to start Max Scherzer?
But you've got to remember Max Scherzer's postseason record, right? Max Scherzer is a guy who is completely bipolar in the postseason. This was not in the cards, right? We kind of knew that this was a possibility when the Rangers said they were going to start him regardless of how healthy he was, because he's just a wild card in the playoffs. He's either really good or really bad. And last night, unfortunately, the Texas Rangers got the latter. So it's give and take. It's part of the give and take of baseball. You have these great Hall of Fame. Max Scherzer is the first ballot Hall of Famer. And you have these great Hall of Famers in the league, and sometimes they just can't get it done in the postseason. Clayton Kershaw is the exact same way, the textbook example of it. I don't think that this was a huge surprise to me. That's kind of why I said that I thought that the Astros had a chance last night, and if they won last night, the series was alive again, because Scherzer was due for this. He's kind of always due for this. When think about his only postseason start with the Mets, absolute blow up. And his last postseason start before that must have been in the World Series with the Dodgers that they won. So yeah, it's tough. Max Scherzer is just one of those guys. He's a wild card in the playoffs.
Well, the odds still love right now The odds makers still love the Rangers. They're minus 230. You can get the Astros at plus 188. Interesting. I thought it might flip a little more than that. I thought the Astros win might bring those odds a little bit closer than that. So I'm a little surprised, especially when you look at the odds for tonight's game. It's Houston minus 102 and the Rangers minus 116. So the odds makers are telling you, we think that the Astros are probably going to win tonight or have a better chance of winning tonight than, say, the Texas Rangers. But at the same time, we're still keeping them as a prohibitive underdog to win the series. Those two things seem to contradict each other, don't they?
Yeah, they do. But also you have to think about the status of the series so far, right? Everyone's won. Every game has been won on the road. So by that logic, you'd expect Texas to continue to win games on the road, and they have to play 4 games on the road versus Houston, who only has to play 3 in the series.
That's not going to hold. I mean, if every team, let me tell you something. If every team in this series on the road wins a game, if the road team wins every game, I will eat my shoe. I will eat my shoe. I will eat my shoe right here. I will do it. It
wouldn't even be it would be the second time it's happened to the Houston Astros in a postseason series in the last 5 years that the away team has won every game of a 7-game series.
Not going to happen.
I think it's very possible. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it's a possibility. I'm not going to rule it out the way that you are, because we've seen the Astros do this. They're road warriors and they're fragile at home.
All teams to hit 1+ home runs tonight over on FanDuel Sportsbook, the unofficial sportsbook of the SportsWrap. Unofficial, why? Because they don't pay us. All teams to hit 1 home run or more is plus 210. I kind of like that bet. I kind of like that bet, don't you?
Yeah.
I loved the over last night. And the reason I loved the over last night was exactly what you've seen. I mean, this is one of the most hitter-friendly ballparks in Texas. I mean, I think they're 7th or 8th. Some have them 5th. There's different measurements for this stuff, but they're anywhere between 5 and 7 or 5 and 8 when you talk about the most hitter-friendly ballparks. So when a friend of mine, Dave in Connecticut, as a matter of fact, hit me up last night and said, hey, I'm taking the under 9 in this game. I was like, I don't like that pick. I don't like that pick. I don't like that pick again tonight. I don't like the under. I don't like the under again tonight. And it's 9. It's 9.5 tonight. And I think it's probably going over. Both of these teams can mash. Both of these teams have guys. They get runners on base. We've seen the way the ball travels in Texas in that ballpark. I wouldn't go anywhere near the under in this game. Even if you got to pay a little bit of juice. No, not even. It's minus 106 on the over, and it's
to the under.
You got to pay juice to the under.
I'd be way more comfortable going with the over in the other game, just because I don't trust Ranger Suarez in the playoffs, and Brandon Pfaadt has kind of already showed what he is. He's a throw-in starter who was never planning on having to start meaningful playoff games, and I don't think the Diamondbacks were ever planning on making him start meaningful. This is a guy who pitched out of the bullpen for half the season. Like, realistically, he's just not. That's what's so funny about the Diamondbacks to me, is how they've made it this far. They're not built for the postseason, because obviously they didn't expect to be in the postseason this year, but they're a team full of like openers, and like they're like the Walmart brand Rays almost, but obviously their results have been better because sometimes the Walmart brand is better. But they're the Walmart brand Rays, and they find themselves in the LCS. I think they're giving up a lot of runs tonight, Jason.
Yeah, they are. I would not feel very good about that game if I were a Diamondbacks fan and sort of where they are. And when both of these teams were down 2-0, the Astros and the Diamondbacks, and I sat and thought to myself, which one has the most realistic chance of coming back? You knew the answer was easily the Houston Astros. But you know what? That place will be rocking tonight in Phoenix. Downtown Phoenix will be hopping. It should be fun. It should be a fun night. By the way, speaking of Phoenix, the Suns are in town. Here in Palm Springs, Phoenix Suns Lakers tonight here in the greater Palm Springs area at Acrisure Arena. And by the way, I have decided not to go to the game. I have an NBA
Acrisure Arena.
Yeah, NBA preseason game here tonight between the Lakers and the Suns, the first ever NBA game to be held in the Coachella Valley, and I am not going. I just can't do it. I just can't. I can't. I do not enjoy going to live sports that much anymore. I don't know what's wrong with me. Is it like if you had the opportunity, if you were me and you were 20 minutes tonight, I'll ask you.
Yes.
I mean, you're going because you're 23 and you don't care and you haven't been to a million NBA games. Of course you're going.
I mean, I also I don't know. I wouldn't go and necessarily pay for tickets.
No,
but I'd
I'm
find
saying
a way
credential.
I'm
saying credential. I could be credentialed.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not paying.
Yes.
I wouldn't pay. Please. I was just saying this to my husband the other night. We went and saw Richard Marx in concert. I haven't paid to go to a concert in 25 years. I'm not paying to go to a concert. Are you kidding me? Right. No, I wouldn't pay to go see a preseason game between the Lakers and Suns. I don't even know if LeBron is playing. Hopefully he is. Hopefully they scheduled it in such a way that when the NBA comes here for the first time, he gets to, he'll play and fans will be able to see him. But I just thought it was interesting. All right, so I like the Rangers tonight. I think they get back on the beam, get a win. They are minus 116. And again, the Astros are minus 102. But you got to feel really good if you're Dusty Baker and the Astros getting that victory last night, getting them back into this series. All right, don't go anywhere. We're going to get into the NFL coming up here in just a minute. We'll get into Thursday Night Football. Interesting matchup tonight. Not sure how I feel about it. Sam's off camera doing the fake hurl. We'll see what he has to say. Sports Wrap continues. Also coming up in about 15 minutes, my conversation with the great Matt Verderame of SI.com. Don't go anywhere.
world is a business, Mr. Beale. It has been since man crawled out of the slime.
Ah, it's so true. Welcome you back to the Sports Wrap on this Thursday. Matt Verderame coming up in about 12 minutes. World is a business. We were just talking off air, the prodigal son, Sam Yarnell, and I, about the about the new ESPN Bet logo that was unveiled yesterday. It was just, man, I've said everybody thought this was kind of a Hail Mary on the part of Penn and ESPN. And it's like they threw up the Hail Mary and you're already starting to see there's like one receiver in the end zone. Did you see this logo they put up yesterday? I should have put it on the screen, but I'm not going to. But they've gotten rid of the iconic red ESPN E and replaced it with something that's green because one symbolizes winning, green is supposedly to symbolize money and winning, and red is thought of as debt and losing and being in the red. It's not the greatest logo design ever. They're kind of getting hammered for it too. Thursday night football tonight, Saints and Jaguars. Jags are playing pretty well right now. So we're geared up for that game. Trevor Lawrence, game time decision, it sounds like, which obviously gives you some pause as we sit here now and try to handicap and bet this thing. Where are you looking right now, Sam, when it comes to the Saints and Jaguars tonight? I don't hear you. Is your mic on? Oh, there you go. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, that was my fault.
Yeah.
That was the host's fault. That was me.
Yeah, it was.
Hey, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
What did I say about this game? I said I hated this game because it sucks.
Because you hate every Thursday night game. You hate every Thursday night game that's been on.
Because the league does not give a crap about the product they're putting on the field, and every Thursday night primetime game is a garbo matchup. Who do we have last week? What was that terrible game last week? We got the Bears and the Commanders on Thursday night one week. I don't want to hear any argument for Thursday night football. I'm still going to watch. I think that the production crew at Thursday Night Football does a wonderful job.
Oh my God, how fantastic is the production of that game, which is almost what makes it more of a shame that they waste these garbage matchups on it. Is I think the production, Sunday Night Football used to be the crown jewel of the production of NFL games, and now it is Thursday night my God, it's so much better. I couldn't agree more with you. From start to finish, I love it.
Yeah, no, I really like the production. Their pregame show is great. Their postgame show is great. That crew they've got is a great, diverse crew, and in terms of like positions in the NFL and viewpoints on how offense and defense work and that kind of thing. And the production itself, the graphics are sharp. The videos are nice. Yeah, no, shout out to Amazon Prime. They've done a great job with that production. Back to this game, it sucks, but I'm taking the under because we always take the under on these crappy games.
Have you gotten anything right with Thursday Night Football this year?
Jerry in Louisville, hear me out on this one. We're taking the under. And we're taking the under, and we're taking the sharp side here. It opened at 42.5. Now it's down to 40.5. The under, look, it's 6-0, I think, or 5-1 in Saints games this year, depending on what book you're betting at. It's the under. I like the Jags. If you need a side, it's probably the Jags. Give me the 2.5, maybe. But the total's the under. The play in this game is the under.
I gotta tell you, man, I have not been impressed with the Saints at all this year. I don't know how you place a wager on this thing without knowing the status of Trevor Lawrence. To me, it feels like it's next to impossible to try and make a pick on this. When you look at these two teams, I mean, Nick Foles is the backup, I think. Is it Nick Foles that's the backup to Trevor Lawrence?
Under. If it is, under. If it's not, under.
Oh, CJ Beathard.
Oh my God, under.
Yeah, it'll be CJ Beathard tonight. If it's not Trevor Lawrence.
I bet you. So here's the thing, right? Another reason I love the under, because CJ Beathard, oh my God, yeah, duh. Even if it is Trevor Lawrence, it's Trevor Lawrence playing hurt, which means you're going to get a lot of Travis Etienne. Might like Travis Etienne over his rushing yards prop and over or to get into the end zone. I know he's only plus 105 to get into the end zone at some books right now. Regardless, I'm going to get on Etienne probably tonight. Like I said, it all adds up to the under. The Saints offense sucks. The Jaguars offense is hurt at quarterback, and also they suck. These aren't bad defenses. It's the under.
CJ Beathard made 12 starts for the Niners, by the way, 2017 to 2020. I like the ETM bet, no matter what.
Right.
Borrow a line from draft day, Travis Etienne, no matter what. Yeah, I kind of like that number. Saints minus 2.5, minus 138 on the money line, and as you said, 40.5 is your total in that game. Derek Carr total yards 235.5. If you're talking about ETN, who you mentioned, obviously, as you said, 68.5 is the number on FanDuel. Alvin Kamara is at 48.5. I think if you're talking fantasy tonight, boy, oh boy, you don't want any part of Evan Engram tonight. And it's rare for me to say that because I love him, but I don't think you touch him. I don't know if you touch any of the Jaguars receivers, obviously. And again, I think it's irrelevant whether or not Lawrence plays. Much like you said, I think it's probably an under game. I have look, as bad as you have been. And as gung-ho as you have been about a lot of your Thursday night picks, which have then gone, I think I might join you on this one tonight at 40.5. I'll Venmo you.
Ha! I could so easily see this game ending 2017. I could see us getting a clunker at 21-14. I could even see it, quite frankly, I could see it 35-3. Like if the Saints come out and throw a dud and Trevor Lawrence does play, I could see it 35-3.
I could see like 17-6. I don't think there's any chance either of these teams are scoring a lot of points. We know. Yeah. Look, the Jags are a top 8, top 9 defense. The Saints offensively have not wowed. I think everything points at the under here, which kind of scares me because the more I sit here and talk about it, the more I think it's probably a couple of unit play on the under. This isn't a small wager tonight. The more I'm talking myself into it, it feels like a big wager on the under tonight. At 40.5.
Timmy triple units on the under. Just I'll put that out there. Oh
boy, that scares me. Because I almost feel like I need to go oppo everything you do.
Oh my God!
You've been that bad lately. Hey, I'm 3-1 and 3-1 in the last 2 weeks here, so my instincts have been pretty good. Huh. What were you gonna say?
Nothing. I just noticed something interesting. So after I got all my plays in, we'll just go through the card just so Jerry and Louisville can tail everything. So we're on the under for Timmy triple units. We got the Travis Etienne touchdown, Travis Etienne over the 68.5. And then we combined Travis Etienne touchdown and went alt line Travis Etienne 80 plus. Parlayed those together at plus 245. But I was looking through my card and some of my futures were on there. By the way, hope you tailed Houston Texans to win the AFC South at plus 450. We're getting offered a positive cash out right now. I was looking at my futures and Bears under 5.5 wins is locked. There's no cash out option. It says cash out unavailable, right? Which, we went Downey double units on Bears season. We went on Bears season win total under 5.5. Uh-huh. So I went to go look at what their live win total is, and it's not even on the board. They're the only team that doesn't have a live win total up I take that back. Them and the Giants are the only teams that don't have win totals up right now.
I think there's a lot of question, and I think rightly so, especially with the Giants. There's a lot of question marks about what that team's going to do right now going forward at 1-5.
But I feel like that'd be a great place for the book to make money, right? Like, because you could throw a heinous line out there that you knew wouldn't be close to what their final win total was, and it would still take action on either side.
Yeah, it would. I agree with you. It's got to be a reason they're holding back on it. All right, we'll see what happens Thursday Night Football tonight. That is Sam Yarnell, the Prince of Picks. Meet him at the window or meet him at his car to bust in his kneecaps if he gets all your picks wrong.
Well, sorry, Jerry.
Jerry in Louisville. He gonna find you. He's already started driving to the East Coast from what I hear. Sam, have a great one. We'll see you later, man.
See you tomorrow, Jason.
That is Sam Yarnell. Matt Verderame does a great job for SI.com. Their NFL insider. He joins us next on the Sports Wrap. have you with us on this Thursday edition of the Sports Wrap. We've done the baseball. We've done the Thursday night NFL preview with my man Sam Yarnell. And now we will talk some NFL with our good friend Matt Verderame, who does a terrific job. SI.com, NFL Insider. All right, Matt. We've got ourselves a Thursday night NFL game. I'll just get your thoughts briefly on this Trevor Lawrence injury and whether or not you think we see him tonight.
I think we see him. He's going to be pretty limited in what he can do. They'll work him out pregame. They'll test that knee. Look, it's one of those things that they can sit there all day and say, we have confidence in CJ Beathard. No, they don't. Like, there's no reason for them to have confidence in CJ Beathard. So they are going to want Trevor Lawrence to go out there if it's possible. The flip side of it is, if he doesn't play, then he basically has 2 weeks to rest up, right? And so you feel good about that. And if you're Jacksonville, the other complicating factor is that division stinks. So you're going to win that division. You would think, the Houston's better.
Be careful there, man. Houston's playing pretty well.
Houston's playing better than you would think, and Houston did beat Jacksonville. So credit to them there. Tennessee, I don't think is going anywhere. And Indianapolis, hard to get over the Richardson injury. I mean, I think Steichen's doing a hell of a job there, but it's just they're limited. That roster's limited. So if you're Jacksonville, do you look at this game and go, well, it's non-conference, it's a road game, it's not the end of the world. Maybe a little. My guess is he'll play, but I think they're going to have to really shelter him because I don't think that knee's anywhere close to 100%.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. You mentioned Houston, though. I mean, could anybody have expected D'Amico Ryans to have this team in this position a third of the way through the season? And look, when we talked about the draft and the choice of C.J. Stroud or Anthony Richardson or Bryce Young, I mean,
right.
Again, it just goes to show you what a crapshoot the draft can be, even at the top, with the top ranked players and the guys in the mock draft and all of that stuff. I mean, who could have envisioned a scenario where we're talking about C.J. Stroud? He's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year.
Been great. And look, you know what? I get stuff wrong all the time, especially with the draft. I'm going to puff my chest out. I could not believe C.J. Stroud is not the number one pick back before it happened. Like Bryce Young, there's a lot of questions. And I'm not saying he's not going to be a good player, but when you're as diminutive as Bryce Young is, like, you better be great at a lot of other things, because that is a big problem in the NFL. People love to always just gloss over that and go, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Don't knock him for such. Not knocking him, but you better have the mobility of a Kyler Murray. You better have the arm talent and the ability to move really, really well in the pocket, which that I think he can do. But Stroud has been fantastic. I mean, Stroud has played really, really well. I mean, he's played like a borderline top 10 quarterback to this point in the season. And, you look, Dameon Pierce has not run the ball well. Like, I thought that was kind of going to be a prerequisite for them to be a decent offense. I thought they'd kind of have to lean on the run game. They're running for 3.2 yards a carry as a team. They are not good at all running football. Nico Collins is playing like a Pro Bowl receiver. Tank Dell, who I loved coming out as a rookie, saw him at the Senior Bowl, thought he could be a lot of fun. Smaller guy, but runs great routes, fast as hell. He's on pace for over 1,000 yards as a rookie. So they are playing well offensively, and their defense, you knew the defense would play better under D'Amico Ryans. They were playing excellent football. So kudos to Ryans, kudos to Stroud. Houston absolutely deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, they really do. And, the Texans in that division, I mean, basically anybody can come out of there. Even Gardner Minshew, if you now that you're the Colts and you know what you have for the rest of the season and you can build an offense around Gardner Minshew, which is obviously a different looking offense than the one you would build around Anthony Richardson, even the Colts are still in the mix in this thing.
They are, and I think Steichen's a really good coach. The question I have with Indianapolis is just, without Richardson, you'll lose that ability to extend plays. And with that group up front, how big of a problem is that? Right? Like, I think that's an issue. Minshew, again, last week, 3 picks, right? Like, that's you can't do that with that roster and have any chance to win a game. I think Indianapolis is going to be somewhere around a 7-win team, which, look, is better than what I thought they'd be. I thought they were going to be the worst team in the AFC this year. And give them credit. I mean, they're playing better, and they got Jonathan Taylor back, and he's signed. Everybody's happy and kumbaya and all that. I still think Jacksonville in that division should run away with it. Look, by the way, Schefter just tweeted out that Lawrence is going to play in this game or is expected to play. So, look, I still think Jacksonville is going to get to 11 wins, 12 wins, and I think that's going to be more than enough in that division. But, Houston, maybe you can fight for a wild card berth. Maybe you can hang in there a little bit, and that's a hell of a lot more than we saw coming for them this year.
The one that gives you more cause for concern of the unbeatens that fell in Week 6, the Eagles or the Niners?
I mean, neither, if I'm being honest. But the Niners, in one respect, Brock Purdy has been phenomenal, all things considered. And I know people love to say, well, if he wasn't throwing to this guy and that guy, well, he is throwing to this guy and that guy. So it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, I love when people do that. Well, if he didn't have those guys around, yeah, but he does. So who cares?
Well, that was like that was like McDaniels in the Dolphins press conference yesterday, where they were saying, well, Tua's numbers are great. Somebody in the media had the nerve to say, well, there's a number of quarterbacks you could put in this system that would be really good, and McDaniels almost lost his mind.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but who cares? He's in that system. That's reality. So my point is, listen, I think the Niners, the one thing in that game, and I've wondered this for a while, and the Browns finally did it. What happens if you have the personnel, and not a lot of teams do, but if you have the personnel and you just say, we're getting into aggressive man coverage. We're not going to play zone. We're not going to play off. We're not just going to allow you to pick us apart underneath and try to win inside the 20. We're going to get up on the line of scrimmage, and we're going to play man, and you're going to have to throw in the tight windows all game long. What happens? Now, I know that McCaffrey and Samuel left the game early. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I get that. The Browns shut them down in that game. And I looked around the league and was trying to think, which other teams could play like that? Philly could play like that if they wanted to with those corners. Now, I don't know if they would. They're more of a zone team. They could. Seattle can with those young corners in Woolen and Witherspoon. Kansas City can do it with McDuffie and Snead. There are some teams that they could face in January or February that could say, you know what? We're going to get in a man. Cam Taylor-Britt and Chidobe Awuzie in Cincinnati. You could do that in those games and go, we don't care. We're going to get in a man. Beat us. And I think it makes it harder than these teams that just love to play this off coverage and we'll give it to you underneath. Those teams have no shot against the Niners. You're dead on arrival.
A lot of people were writing the obituary on the Cowboys after their blowout loss to the Niners.
Yep.
They go and get the road win against the Chargers. I think they're 4-2, something like that. And now, and it's kind of it's sort of okay, they win that game, but we kind of know what the Chargers are. And it's almost like playing a home game for Dallas. Those LA home games, so many visiting fans show up for those games. Where are you on the Cowboys right now? Yes, I know they get the win against the Chargers, but coming off that loss against the Niners, where are you on the Cowboys right now as it relates to their standing in the NFC and being a real contender?
So, like a moron, I picked the Cowboys to win not to get the Super Bowl, not to win it, to get the Super Bowl where the year started. I don't think that's a possibility with this team at this point. Watching them, the coach is it's a massive problem. That game against the Chargers, they should have lost, except for the fact that Brendan Staley's even a worse coach than Mike McCarthy is. And so it was basically you think you're going to lose this game? The hell you are. I'll make a bigger mistake. And it just went back and forth for 3 hours, and the Chargers ended up winning that battle and losing the war. I just cannot, if you're going to play Philly in the playoffs, you're going to play the Niners in the playoffs. Hell, you're going to play Detroit in the playoffs. You can't have these games where you have 4 or 5 mental elapses and you blow timeouts because there's 12 guys on the field and nobody knows who's supposed to be on the field. That's all good and well when you're playing a Chargers team that's going to match you mistake for 3 hours. When you play Detroit and San Francisco and Philadelphia, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do it. They're going to blow you out. And I think Dak sometimes gets a little bit of an unfair rap. I think he's a pretty good quarterback. But is he hurt? No. Is he playing like Goff this year? Not this year. He's not. Goff's playing better. Is he Purdy? Yeah, I think he is. But if you're Dak You got to have everything humming around you. And if you're Mike McCarthy, you can't afford 4 oopsies in a game in January against a team that, like, if you don't play well, they're going to earhole you for 4 quarters. And that's where I think we are with Dallas.
Matt, tell me, go from the good and the great to the really ugly here. The situation in New England with the Patriots. I mean, it's as bad as it can be right now. I mean, they're 1-5. I mean, this is a bad situation. And forget the idea now of whether or not Bill Belichick, breaks Don Shula's all-time coaching wins record. You got to start asking, does he make it past this year? And how far does Bob Kraft let this go before he steps in? I just can't believe how far the Patriots have fallen, how fast they've fallen, and what it's doing to the legacy of Bill Belichick is undeniable.
So I think if you're New England at the end of the season, first of all, he's not going at the end of the year, right? He's not leaving. So he's not leaving during the year. So at the end of the year, Robert and Jonathan Kraft sit down with Bill Belichick, and I think it should go something like, Bill, you are no longer the GM of this team. That's done. We're stripping out the personnel department. We're replacing it with our personnel department. And if you aren't comfortable with that, we accept that, but then you are going to have to go. If you are comfortable with that and you want to just go back to being a coach, you can be a coach. Because I still think Bill Belichick can really coach. I mean, that roster, I could make a real argument, especially with Judon and Gonzalez hurt. They're the worst roster in the NFL. That team is atrocious. I mean, when you take out Judon and Gonzalez, who's good? I mean, Uche, okay, yeah, sure. Ramondre Stevenson, that's an awful roster. They almost beat Miami. They almost beat Philly. Like, he can coach. The problem is he can't draft or sign guys, and so he has an awful roster that's his own doing. If I'm the Crafts, I'm willing to let him coach the team, but he is not run that team anymore. And I've written this for years that he should not be the GM of that team. You could see this coming by the time Brady left. Brady left because they were bereft of talent. They had no talent. They were playing a Landon Roberts at fullback, guys at the linebacker. Like, this has been coming for a long time. The good news is they're going to be so bad this year. They're going to have their shot at an upper-tier quarterback. I mean, whether or not it's Drake May or it's Caleb Williams or it's Michael Penix, whoever it is, they're going to have a shot at one of them because that team's winning, 3 games this year, 4 games this year? I mean, they're going to be in that top half dozen or so.
Well, that gets into the tanking conversation now. I mean, we're at week 7. Who starts to jump into that fray of, all right, this is where we are. If it's going to be this bad, if you're going to suck really good and get yourself, a top tier pick. I even get into that conversation now with the Giants, who are much better than a 1-5 team, but you are what your record says. And if the season's lost and you're the Giants right now, do you sort of have to go, all the way? Or do you want to be a 6-11 team at the end of the year that gets, a 7th or an 8th or a 9th pick overall in the draft? Where do you go if you're some of these teams? And give me your thoughts on what the Giants should do right now.
Yeah, so like with Belichick, here's the problem. Like the team doesn't tank. The front office tanks. Well, Belichick's the front office, so they're not tanking. The Giants, I don't know. You and I might fundamentally feel differently about the Giants. I don't know if the Giants are better than 1-5. The Giants stink. Like, the Giants are just, I mean, how they almost beat Buffalo, there should be a 30 for 30 on that game.
Well, the Saquon Barkley injury has been huge for them, though. I mean, he's 75% of their offense last year. You lose him. I mean, that's a huge loss for that team.
It's kind of the point, though. Like, if your running back is 75% of your offense, like, there's the issue. By the way, they also have like 800 offensive linemen who are hurt. Like, look, I get it. Like, it's not that they can't win some games with a full roster, but that contract for Daniel Jones was terrible the second they signed it. And I think if you're the Giants, look, I don't think they're going to have to try to tank. They're just going to lose a bunch of games. I mean, that's coming. Like, they're losing when they play Dallas, and they're losing when they play Philly, and on and on and on and on. Like, they're going to lose a bunch of games. I think, again, like I just said about New England, you draft a quarterback, and for all these people who are like, well, Daniel Jones has 3 years left. No, he doesn't. He has 1 year left, and you cut him. Or you trade him because his base salary isn't that high, and you can just move off Mats this year. And some team is desperate enough to take him at a mediocre salary, and you move on, you wipe your hands clean of him. Like, that's what you do because Dable needs a quarterback. I don't think Dable's been that great this year, but I do think he's a very good coach overall. This year, I think he struggled. I also think he struggled because he knows deep down they have no shot offensively. None. They can't block. Quarterback can't throw the ball. They've you and me at receiver. Like, it's just, it's over. If Barkley doesn't run for 250 yards in the game, they're losing. So they need to go get a quarterback. Look, this draft class is fascinating. My colleague over at SI, Albert Breer, wrote a piece, very good piece about a couple of weeks ago. 8 quarterbacks were mentioned when he talked to people around the league as guys who could be first-round picks. There have never been more than 6. There are going to be a ton of teams that need quarterbacks at the end of this season. A ton. Whether it's a guy underperforming like a Mac Jones, whether it's a guy leaving on a new a contract like a Kirk Cousins, you're going to have so many teams in the mix. It's going to be fascinating to watch how that all shakes out.
Are the Bengals fixed?
No. The Bengals, give them credit. Defensively, they played very well against Seattle. They made some key plays, got a couple of key stops in the red zone. I watched every snap of that game. The Bengals offense is brutal. I mean, they cannot move the ball. So I pulled it up on Pro Football Reference the other day for a piece I was doing at SI. Joe Burrow's, this is a little bit of a convoluted stat, but Joe Burrow's intended air yards per attempt, just how far you're throwing the ball per attempt, whether it's completed or not, it is 33rd in the NFL right now out of 33 qualified quarterbacks. But here's what's crazy. Like, that happens sometimes for good quarterbacks, is they're forced to think and dunk. Like, Mahomes is 31st. Okay. However, if you look at their on-target percentage, just throws that are right where they need to be, Mahomes is second in the NFL. Dak is number 1, by the way. Mahomes is 2. Burrow is 26th. So, like, not only is he throwing the ball 4 feet in front of him, he's throwing it off the mark. And they come out of a bye against the Niners on the road, the Bills on a Sunday night at home. You're going to find out real quick where the Bengals are at. I am not counting them out, but that offense has a long way to go. Burrow has just not been good this season by any metric.
Last one. How bad is the Denver situation? I mean, we talk about the situation in New England. We know what's going on in Chicago with Justin Fields and the Bears.
Yep.
You've got a contract who's owed a ton of money. The dead cap space is catastrophic for that organization if they try to cut him or get rid of him in any way, shape, or form. You brought in Sean Payton because you thought you were fixing this thing. How bad is the situation in Denver right now? Not just for today, but really for the next year to 2 years.
So I've got the contract up in front of me right now. If they cut him post June 1 next year, pre-June 1, forget it. It's impossible. They'd be eating money for 5 years. Post June 1, the dead cap hit next year is $35.4 million. Okay. And then it's 18.4, another 18. I mean, it is just astronomical. And there's no way they're trading him because nobody's going to take him. Right. So that they are in the worst situation in the NFL. I don't even think it's close. Not only because of the Russell Wilson contract. Like, that's the tangible, easy thing to look at and go, that contract's terrible, therefore they're in a worse situation, which is true. It's also because they gave up basically 2 years worth of draft picks to acquire him. They have no young talent. It's all in Seattle. Like, Devon Witherspoon was taken with Denver's draft pick. Okay. All that young talent is in Seattle right now. And so they're still paying off those debts. Now they're paying off the Sean Payton trade. They don't have the second round pick next year. It belongs to New Orleans. I mean, it is the worst. How George Payton still has a job, I have no idea. It's unbelievable how bad that trade was. And then the Payton thing where you looked at it and went, okay, maybe he fixes it. No, he hasn't fixed it. They're the worst defense ever measured by DVOA to this point in the season. They're 1-5. Their next 3 games are the Packers, the Chiefs, the Bills. They're bare minimum probably looking at 2-7. And you look at this and go, okay, they got rid of Gregory. Frank Clark's gone. Ian Rappaport yesterday was talking to Rich Eisen and said he doesn't think there's going to be a fire sale. And I talked to people around the league. It sounds like it's kind of up in the air. Obviously, I trust Ian's word on that. But my point is, how do you not have a fire sale right now? How do you not do that? I would trade everybody on that team. Like, Surtain's the only guy that I wouldn't unless I got 2 first-round picks. Everybody else, Simmons, Judy, Sutton, Javonte Wood, gone. What would you give me for him? I need to recoup assets. I need young picks. young players with picks. I think Denver's in the worst situation in the NFL.
There's a team in Kansas City right now that would love a Cortland Sutton, wouldn't they? I mean, they need some help at receiver. I know they went and got Mecole Hardman, but I mean, I don't. And trading in the division is always tricky because of the backlash you're going to feel. But I mean, man,
I got to tell you, talking to people, I don't know that Kansas City's got any moves left in the chamber here. Like they're capped out. They're capped out. I mean, I think the Chiefs' thought process is Rashee Rice looks like he's really good. And if you have him and Kelsey and Hardman can do anything, that might be enough with Pacheco and McKinnon to score 27 a game with Mahomes in that offensive line. I mean, I think that's kind of the thought. The other thought is the defense looks like the 85 Bears through 6 weeks.
It really does.
I mean, that would be the ultimate gobsmacker, wouldn't it be, if they win the Super Bowl because the defense is incredible and like the Mahomes-led offense is just But right now, that's how they're winning games.
Does that make Steve Spagnuolo a candidate to be a head coach again next year somewhere?
It's tough because, unfortunately for Steve, he's a little older. And he was a head coach once, and it didn't work out. Although, to be fair to him, nobody had any chance with that Rams team. That Rams team was awful. It might get him a little bit of attention. Steve Spagnuolo's done an incredible job.
He really
has. That team last year, half the defense, they were rookies, and they won the Super Bowl, and now they're playing lights out, and a lot of it is the coaching he's done over the last 18 months.
Matt Verderame, check out his work, SI.com, senior. I almost got through the interview without calling you a senior NFL writer.
Not yet. Don't say Breer would come after me.
No.
Breer and Connor are the senior guys. If you start calling me that, I'm going to get crap in the next meeting.
Matt Verderame, NFL writer, SI.com, because the SI and the senior, it all kind of goes together. He's got a great piece up there, 3 weeks, 6 NFL plays to watch again, including Mac Jones' worst mistake. All of the great writers over there at SI.com. It's a fantastic stop if you're looking for anything NFL related. Matt, always appreciate it, my man. Thank you.
You got it, Jason. Anytime.
Matt Verderame hanging out with us on the show. All right, we'll come back. Odds and ends to wrap it up on the Sports Wrap. Don't go anywhere. All right. All right, getting set to put the wraps on this Thursday edition of the Sports Wrap. Thank you to Matt Verderame of SI.com, Sam Yarnell, as well as always. Finish it with some odds and ends. WNBA final last night. The WNBA final goes to the Las Vegas Aces. They win back-to-back championships. Just a moment that I want to give on this to the WNBA and I think about this because I remember interviewing, this is how old I am and how young I started in the industry at the same time. I remember interviewing Rebecca Lobo before the first ever WNBA season. This might have been in like 95 at the Special Olympic World Games or something like that in New Haven, Connecticut. And we looked at the WNBA, and it had this big splash when it launched. And, you know, for a year or two, you had the Houston Comets and the New York Liberty, the LA Sparks, and all the big names of women's college basketball that came in. And it shot off, and it did well at the start. And then it waned, and interest waned. And maybe the way it was run wasn't right. And they didn't have great TV deals outside of, say, ESPN. But women's sports hadn't really taken hold. When you think about the WNBA and how ahead of its time it was, when you see things like the National Women's Soccer League, when you see things like women's professional hockey now that's out there, how big women's college basketball is. It was big then with the UConn women in Tennessee and that rivalry. But, I mean, women's college basketball now is at a whole nother level when you look at the TV ratings, who's watching it. You had sellout crowds at the Barclays Center for games 3 and 4 of this series. And that crowd last night watching the game on ESPN, I got to be honest, I watched more of the WNBA final game 4 than I did of the baseball. And I'll be interested to see what the ratings look like for that game 4. Especially considering how good that game got late down the stretch. And there's no mistake in it. I mean, the WNBA has done a terrific job. They are the blueprint for anything women's professional sports related. They have spread their games out all over every different TV platform that is willing to air them. Beyond ESPN, they were on CBS Sports Network. I think they were on ION Television. They were all over the place this year. You couldn't get away from the WNBA. And the product is good. It's not great. It's a different type of basketball than the men's game, obviously because of the athleticism involved and the above-the-rim nature of the NBA and the more fundamentally sound type of basketball that the WNBA offers, which for basketball purists, I mean, it's the best basketball you're going to find. But I found myself enthralled with that game last night between the Liberty and the Aces, which went down to the final shot, and the Aces get the win, back-to-back championships for them. First time that's been done in the league in forever. It might have been the Houston Comets that were the last team to do it, and the Houston Comets aren't even around anymore, which tells you how long the league's been around and how long ago that feat was accomplished. So that's the first thing. Last thing I want to get to, though. Phil Mickelson is talking again about LIV Golf and saying there are agents for golfers on the PGA Tour who want to get in and play LIV Golf next year. There's going to be a few openings, and teasing this idea that the door is open for PGA Tour players to come. I am fascinated to see how many PGA Tour players run through the door for those 2 or 3 open spots that might exist on the LIV Tour due to relegation and some guys not playing that well this year who have to go and try and earn their spot back onto the LIV Tour. And keep this in mind. We're just a couple of months away from LIV Golf and the PGA Tour having to solidify, finalize, ratify this deal between LIV Golf and the PGA Tour, which still hasn't happened yet. And you've still got federal intervention that could take place. And all of this is with the backdrop of the official World Golf Rankings, which still refuses to give points to LIV Golf. all of that setting itself up for what should be an interesting 2024 as it relates to the world of golf. All right, that's going to do it for us. We are back on Friday. Page versus the Prince. 3-1 for me the last 2 weeks. Just saying. If you're going to be following anybody's picks right now, it might not be the Prince. Might be yours truly. 6-2 over the last 2 weeks. Thank you to Matt Verderame of SI.com, their NFL insider, and Sam Yarnell. I'm Jason Page. We'll see you back here on Friday for the Sports Wrap. Have a good one.